Bienvenidos a todos ustedes, nómadas digitales y futuros nómadas digitales. En esta ocasión es un episodio súper especial, ya que es una entrevista a alguien que, igual que a nosotros, nos gusta viajar. Su nombre es Mike Logan. Y bueno, es alguien que respeto y admiro mucho. Lo conocí en Turquía aproximadamente hace un año. Les quiero comentar de la increíble historia de Mike. Él es un veterano de la Marina de los Estados Unidos, es entrenador fitness y estilo de vida. Además, también es un consultor de energía solar y es todo un emprendedor. Bueno, pues vamos a ver la entrevista. Okay, guys, so now here we are with Mike. Mike, how is everything there? Where are you in the world right now?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Currently, I'm back in Virginia, where I'm originally from. Just got here a few weeks ago. So I was in Spain before that, and then Turkey before that, which is where we met. So yeah.
And like in Turkey, Spain,
and then back here in Virginia now. And in between, I was in Germany for a little bit, and near where Switzerland and Germany and France meet. I was in France, so France, Switzerland, and Germany, Spain, through Barcelona and southern Spain, in Cadiz, and then, and in between that, also in Ukraine before all the craziness there, Greece as well. So it's been a lot in the last two.
Wow, such a nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Mike. So everyone is interested to know about your story. Please, can you tell us how did you start all of this nomadic lifestyle? Why did you start? Can you please share with us your story?
Yes, absolutely. Well, so of course, as a lot of us recently, I think, as like anybody that's traveling or nomadic these days, is because of COVID, the lockdown and all that. And I was living in LA at that time, in Hollywood, and luckily a friend that got me this apartment, but I was like, I'm paying so much money. And, I said, well, there's still, things were still open, right? It was like kind of fine. Right. And I looking and I said, well, Turkey's open. And like, well, my mom's from there. I have family there. I was actually born there. And I said, hey, I'm just going to go visit, Okay. And in between that, I went to see my friend in Miami and Fort Lauderdale for a week. And then finally I just said, you know what? I'm going to just one-way ticket. I'm not coming back. Like the cost of living here in the US was getting even more expensive. I'm locked up in a room, and I'm like, if I'm going to be locked up in a room, let me be locked up in one where I'm not paying as much money, Right. But I had also taken my fitness business, Logan Fit. I took that online, and I realized, like, damn, I'm making more in a week than I was in a month, So, and I'm sitting at home. So I said, okay, this is great. Now I don't have to be physically in one place, And for me, like I said, like I didn't have a car, I didn't have a house that I owned, I didn't have a family or anything like of my own, kids or anything. I said, this is the time for me to do it, not getting any younger. I said, I got to go. And so, I went to Turkey, and I was like, that was the start of it, man. I have like I said, have my fitness business online, got into, like trading and crypto and all that stuff. I also have a nightclub in DC, which is here at DC. That was affected by COVID as well. We couldn't open, so it's like, think about, that's a physical location. And I said, well, we can't turn a nightclub online, although some things were happening like that, streamers and things like that. But so that finally opened as well this past October. I don't have to physically be there. They're running it. So it's another source of income for me. I also got into, solar sales. So I'm an independent contractor through Power PVC, and I have my own solar company called Now Time Solar. So I can also do that remotely and online, so a little bit here, a little bit there. The trading and crypto I did, like I was saying, and some things I'm still doing. Some things were the worst decision, but learned a lesson. But now I'm here, back at home where I'm from for a little bit to expand some of the business. And then I'll actually be going back to Turkey again in May with my mom. She's retiring. Said, it's time to just keep living life and, enjoying it, man. Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned your mom is from Turkey. So you have also your residence from Turkey as well?
Yeah, well, I'm working on that. So there's, it's always these governmental things, of course, but yeah, that's what we'll be finalizing once I get back in May, hopefully around that time. Yeah. So I'll actually have my citizenship. So then I'll have dual citizenship, US and Turkey, and then I'll really be able to just go even more places,
Wow. So, wow, really cool story. I want to ask you from it. It's like when you decided to start your business, were you kind of like, because also what I am doing when I started, I was a bit like afraid that it wouldn't succeed. All the entrepreneurs, we have that feeling, right? What crossed your mind at that time when you were starting your online business?
It was actually something that I had wanted to do for so long. And because of those things, like those fears, like, oh, if I do it, then and it doesn't work and blah, blah. And, and I've had other businesses before, martial arts schools, where I, either partnerships or fitness studios and things. And those didn't work. So I realized, like, no matter what, I mean, you can fail, And I always say, like, you don't really fail, you learn, and I learned from all of these experiences over the years. And I just said, I'm good at what I do. It's perfect timing, right? If it doesn't work, then I just go from there. I figure it out. And sure enough, in the first week, it worked, but I took some time, about a month and a half. I had recorded videos. I planned everything out, I had got interest from people to see, if it would work once I launched. And I tested out the programming by myself. I had a coach that I hired to help me with, even my mindset and all of these things in the business. So I did all of the things that a lot of people do later on. I was like, I know what I need now, like from all of the times where it didn't work. I was like, I need a coach. I need to have a plan. I need to have someone that keeps me accountable. I need to know if people are interested beforehand, all of those things, not just launching it. And luckily, it was all set in place. And like I said, the first week I made more than I was making in a month at my last job. And my last job was like one of the highest pays I was making. I was working for Floyd Mayweather, his fitness boxing gym, which, is huge. They have like 200 locations sold already across the nation. They're going international. So like, even with that, going online, it was like, it was the best decision. And of course, it's difficult. Things change. I changed how I do it. I pulled back some, things like that. But it's all in my control, which is what I like.
Cool. You mentioned something important as well when you were saying, like, in the US, you spent a lot because of living and cost. Like, but if you compare that money living in Turkey, for example, what's the difference like?
Yeah, I mean, cost of living. So it's crazy because, technically there are more millionaires and billionaires in Turkey than there are in, majority of the world, even more so than a lot of parts of the United States, according to how large it is,
Right.
But the cost of living is on a whole is lower because a lot of people don't have as much income, right? Obviously. So if you make US dollar, if you make the British pound, if you make the euro, even at that minimal level, you can still live, right? Now, if you're making double that in dollar, which is still, you would never be able, let's just say cost of living there is like $500. If you make $1,000 online in the US, now you have doubled the average income in a lot of countries, So, not just Turkey, but pretty much anywhere else, like, except for, even parts of Europe you can go to where that's what the cost of living is, around $500, $600 US dollars a month. And I realized that. I said, if I have my income that I'm making, I have also some disability money that I get from my time in the military, so all of those things, I said, I'm fortunate to have them. I've set myself up to have them, but let me go somewhere else. The world is so big. It's not just one state. It's not just one city. It's not just one country. And I said, I want to see it all. And, so that was a big thing. I realized, like, if I'm paying, $1,500 in the US for something, like, I could get 3 of those in another country,
Right.
It's like I have 3 apartments for the same amount. Like, and that was really what hit me. And I said, okay, I don't want to live like this paycheck to paycheck. And even though I was making a lot online, it was still like this struggle, because things were getting more expensive. I realized, like, once things start opening back up and I go back to a regular lifestyle, like, I'm still not going to have enough especially in Hollywood, and that's where I want to live because of the atmosphere, the weather, the culture. And I said, I can find something like that somewhere else. And that's why I've gone to Turkey. Plus I have family there, So yeah, it's a huge difference. I think if anybody's thinking about it, definitely, make sure you're making, US dollar or euro or pound or Canadian dollar or whatever, something of a higher currency and just, make it work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, it's funny to say, like for me at least, the way to see it is like a lot of people, they want to go to the US, they want to work in the US to make dollars, but I've seen, like, there's some Americans who want to be out of the States, live in another country, and it's just like funny, like how people, they want to be in and some people, they want to be out.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I wanted to be out because, I'm a mixed race, kind of thing. And like half of my mom and my family are in Turkey, and I said, that was one big thing. I was like, I want to go there and visit them, and I want to spend time there. And I've always wanted to go there. And I said, this is the perfect time for it. Especially with the pandemic, everyone was like, I saw it as 50-50. Either it ruined your life or it created something extremely phenomenal, like a whole nother life. Like, and that was my side, was that positive side, Yeah.
Is it difficult to like, for you, English, do you think that you can get in all the countries that you've been at? Do you have to learn the local language, or you've been able to learn their language as well?
I think, not to get into anything racial or like, political or anything like that, but just in general, like, I always think it's good to at least learn the basis of, where you're at, right? How to say hello, how to order something, how to say thank you, how to ask for somewhere, you know what I mean? But also be smart. Like, we all have phones. There's smartphones. It has a translator on it. Like, even if you use it, like for me, if I don't know something, I'll use the translator and I'll try and read it, in that language and try and submerge as much as possible. Now, for me personally, I've never been very good at learning languages. I can learn a lot of, little bit in a lot of different languages. I could probably say some 7 or 8 different languages, but that's about it. I don't understand fully. And I'm like, I only speak one language, and that's English, and I'm not even that great at that. But if you're a good person and you communicate well with people in general, especially through expressions and things like that, most people will be warm and friendly and nice to you and try and help you, and that's been my experience. Is a lot of times it was hard to learn a language because everyone wanted to speak English with me, also like they like to learn as well, things like that. But I don't think you need to specifically know a language. In my experience, I've been to multiple countries, and as long as I know enough of it, to get by, I think you're good. Yeah.
Wow, great. When you travel to a place, when you are going to Spain, what do you bring with you? Like learning, you've been learning, of course. How do you pack your stuff? Like, what is necessarily? Because I'm sure when I first traveled, I made a video that I was carrying 40 kilos, and now it's like not even 10 kilos. How about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, mine was probably more. I was carrying my whole life with me. But what I realized was, because I decided to move to Turkey, And then I said, okay, that'll be my main area. And then from there, I'll travel, right? And again, since I have an apartment there, that, you know, my mom has an apartment that I can leave my stuff in and I can go out, you know, so sometimes it depends on how many days I'm going, but the more and more I realize it's like, I don't need that much, you know, I need a lot less. One pair of pants, maybe 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, like a couple of shirts, and you end up like, if you're going somewhere where it's nice out, like you're not wearing a shirt half the time anyway. You know, or you're just wearing, like, if you're going somewhere where it's cold, you're gonna have a jacket on. So who cares what you're wearing? You know, I think like those types of things too. If you want to live like more on the minimalist side, like definitely light, like you were saying, you know, you don't need 40 pounds, just have a backpack, you know. And I even realize, like, sometimes I take a backpack and I'm like, I still don't use everything that's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happened to me.
Another thing is, like, you know, obviously I think it's different for men and women too. Like men, like, you know, they always say, like, we can wash our hair with the same thing that we wash our back.
The same soap, right? For like,
just to brush your teeth. Yeah, like it's all the same. You know, women have their skincare products and things like that. You know, I mean, obviously men, we do too, but like I just go somewhere and pick up those things, right? Instead of carrying the toothpaste and all that, or even my toothbrushes, I have an electric one. Like, okay, I'm going for 5 days. I'll just buy a small, cheap toothbrush there, you know, a toothpaste there that you can find for pretty inexpensive. And if you have to throw it away, so what? Or leave it there or give it to somebody else on the street, who knows? And I do a lot of those things too, where like I buy a lot of clothes and I'm like, I don't need it. And I just donate it. I'll find somebody that needs it, you know? So it's like, I also look at it as, you know, I'm fortunate to do what I'm doing. I'm fortunate to have the amount of money that I have now. And so I'm always, you know, also giving back. You know what I mean? Actually, before I left the US, I gave away 2 duffel bags worth of clothes, like full, to a guy that was, you know, homeless under a bridge in LA. And, you know, he was super thankful and did a prayer for me and everything. You know, it was very like enlightening and freeing and just, you know, a good feeling. So when I got to Turkey and I'd move around too, I was doing the same thing, you know, same thing in Spain. You know, it's like, I just realized, like, I have a lot of things that I don't need, you know, and if you really need it, you can always find it again.
Right. Yeah, basically it's clothes, your passport, wallet. So about the community, now that you've been traveling and since you started, I met you in Internations, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the communities that you are in? And yeah, like for people who don't know how to start connecting with other digital nomads, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so that's how we met, Internations, which was cool. You know, they have the free version, the paid version. I met a lot of people through that. I got to do a lot of, you know, fun, different things in different cities. I don't use it anymore, but, you know, there's also, of course, like Meetup, you know, .com, that kind of thing. There's a lot of groups on Facebook. I think one of the best things to do is to find other local, like, travelers. I mean, whatever you want to, I mean, people say expat and all that stuff, and some people don't like that word or whatever, and everyone has something to complain about and everyone has something that they like. But find what is good for you. Find a group that you can, you know, connect with. If you don't like it, get out of it, find something else. There's thousands of them online. You know, if you go on, like I said, go on Facebook, you'll find it. You go on Instagram, you'll find it. You just go to a local spot where there's, you know, other foreigners there, and you're going to just ask questions. To be honest, the best way is to really just talk to people, you know. For example, like, we're here right now because of we went to a night where we were playing cards, right? It was something that I had never done before. You know what I mean? And
doing something different.
And I said, let me do something different. And it led to friendships. It led to this moment right now, which is over a year later. You know, like, I mean, I really think that's one of the greatest parts about this whole nomadic lifestyle, is just meeting people from all walks of life. You know, like, I have my friends here. You know, when I come back, I see them, I spend time with them. But I've made so many more connections in the world that have led to, you know, even other potential businesses and things like that. So I have other things that are planned for the future that are coming up, you know. So There's a saying like closed mouths don't get fed, right? It's like open your mouth. You got to open your mouth to eat. You got to speak up to get that food, right? And it's like, if you want something, if you want to be a part of a group, if you want to travel and figure out how to do it, it's like, yeah, do a search online and find it. Ask somebody that's done it, watch a video like this and learn from other people, like on your channel and things like that. Like, just sit there, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Like when I left Mexico, that's where I'm from, right? So when I left, I changed. Like, I'm still in touch with those friends, but it's like I made a lot of new friends, and it's cool. For example, when it's like, hey Mike, where are you in the world? I'm in Istanbul. Okay, maybe we say goodbye, but like a month later, hey, where are you? I'm in Greece. Oh, cool, we're going there, right?
Right.
That's really cool.
Yep, exactly. Because that was, that did happen with us, where you guys had left for a bit, and then all of a sudden we were down in southern part, or like eastern southeast part of in Kushadasi, right, in Turkey, and we met there for a few days. Like, super cool, just random that we happened to be there at the same time. Like,
yeah, we didn't arrange it, and it's like, where are you?
Right.
Wow, let's meet up.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That was cool.
So, and I'm sure we'll meet some more in some other places. Yeah.
So, Mike, a lot of people, well, we especially included me, when we don't do that step, because it's like about like going from a stable job. We think it's a stable job, going to travel, right? Because we're thinking like the first month, how much can you make, can you do in your business? How were your first months? Like you said, it was from the week one, it was good, but how was that number? Was it enough for you to cover it?
It was more than enough to even live in LA. It was actually more than I had been making. As far as numbers, like I was over 10,000 a month on average, right? Wow. In the first few months. That obviously was like, I got really lucky with that. Obviously, like I said, it's a lot to do with the pandemic. Now it's a gift and a curse, because I did so well at the beginning. I slowed down and didn't see that kind of money, for a long time, right? Because I wasn't preparing myself for the longer term. But I also knew that for me, that was enough. I saved up enough that when I would go travel, when I was about to, because I was going to go travel, I just say, I'm going to make as much as I can at this time. Then I'm going to relax, right? And with a normal job, you can't do that. You have to keep going. Otherwise, you're fired, right? And say, okay, if I'm working for myself. So, but what I also realized was I was burning myself out. So if there's any word of advice I can give, take your time, like find out what's your minimum that you can survive on, and kind of test it out. You know what I mean? You have to test it out and figure it out. And, after that, then you'll realize like, okay, how much work do I need to put in? If you want to make $1,000 a month, you're going to have to work a lot. If 1,000 is enough for you and you can coast on that, then do enough to make 1,000 in the first week and then chill the rest of the month, but really it's like, you got to figure that out. And again, if you want 10,000, you're going to have to be working 6 weeks to make enough for that first month, if that makes sense, right? Like if that's going to be what you need, like you're going to have to work more hours and more days and more time. And I think it's different for everybody, of course. And again, in my experience, like I realized I did a cost of living analysis. How much will it cost to live in
your track expenses
in X country, right? Like, for example, for me, it was for Turkey. Okay, I need this much. And in order for me to live the lifestyle that I live and what I like to do, now I need to make this much more, right? And I said, okay, so I can do that. I can continue to do that, which meant I could take more time for myself. I didn't have to work as much, and I could do different things. So where it was like I said, I started doing something else. So I pulled back on my fitness a bit and started doing something else. And I took some of the time and put it into that. And that way it's like, if one fails or gets slow, the other one, it can maybe boost it, So I started doing a few things. And I think that's one of the best things to do, is to have your eggs in multiple baskets. That way you have a little bit more financial security,
Wow. And I have some questions about it. But the first one is, wow, it's really like interesting what you are talking about. It's great. It's, for example, you are mentioning you are not living in the US, but you are making US dollars. Sometimes, including sometimes myself, we're thinking only like, oh, I only know Spanish. I need to work well only with Mexico. Oh, I only know, let's say, I don't know another language, and I need to come forward to with only that country. But it's like, and also like we're thinking, oh, I want US dollars. I need to go to work to the US, right? That's mostly our mentality here in Latin America.
Right.
But actually, you are doing a business that is like, you are not in the US and you are doing US dollars, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So I think, obviously, I mean, for me, the fortunate side, I'm a U.S. citizen, so I can still work in the U.S. I have an address in the U.S. I have my bank accounts, my business, LLCs and things in the U.S. But there are a lot of opportunities now, and I see them even more so lately, where, for example, you can create your business in the U.S., get a U.S. bank account. Obviously, you would have to be paying taxes and things like that, but you can make U.S. dollar. You can, I mean, I get messages at least 10 times a day on different platforms from someone in another country that is looking to get into business with you, especially if you have small business, things like, real estate, solar, blah, 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 where they'll do, marketing for you or anything like that. So if anybody's looking to get work where they can make US dollar, or make euro, find something. It's really these digital nomad type of jobs, like how to run Instagram ads, how to run Facebook ads, how to do any other type of marketing, call center type of work, things like that. So where you don't even necessarily have to speak English or be in the US, but you can make US dollar, right? Now, you can do the same thing in a country and at that currency. But again, if you just made 500 US dollars to live in another country, like now you're good, depending on where it is, of course, right? Like obviously, like people, if you want to go to Southeast Asia, I mean, man, it's a lot less expensive, the cost of living, and you can live a nice lifestyle and be on the beach and things like that, which is part of my plans to go there too, again, I haven't been in a long time, but yeah, I think there's an opportunity out there for everybody. And it's going to be different for everybody. And you just have to, you got to find it. You know what I mean? I mean, like, for example, for you, like and I tell people about you all the time, like, man, he was young and he went to China and opened Mexican restaurants. Like, who the heck does that? You know what I mean? But like, then you probably had a ton of fear and all that. And like, you're going to someplace you don't know the language, like you don't know the culture. You've never been out of like where you're from. But like, if you don't take that chance and that risk, you wouldn't be here right now having this conversation, right? We would have never met, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't have experienced as much as you have, right? I think, like your story and my story and everyone, that we know, like, it's really that. It's like, you don't have to have all the money in the world and like, you don't have to know everybody or know anything or be like famous. It's like, no, you actually probably have more freedom in our level than people that are, super high and all this money, because they got to work a lot more. They got to spend a lot of time doing things they don't want to do. I said, I'm only going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Obviously, there's regulations. I can't just freaking go somewhere. You got to have passports and things like that, buy tickets. You have to have money for those things. But again, if you learn how to live what's best, the way that's best for you, if you find what's best for you in these jobs and these, extra side hustles or whatever it is, then you can really make anything happen. I've, like I said, sometimes I need like this much, and there's sometimes where I'm like, shit, I'm not, excuse my language, sorry, I don't have enough for the month, like happens, but I know how to get back to it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Cool. Wow. So if you have to start over again, imagine if you had to start it over again, what would you do? Your first step?
That's a good question. I think I would start a little bit slower. And the reason I say that is like, I'm one of those people that just goes like so hard and so fast at the beginning, and then I get burnt out. And even with like when I travel somewhere, like, oh, I'm gonna go do all these things, and then you're like, man, your energy goes, right? The energy that like where your energy goes, like it flows, you know what I mean? So wherever you put your energy is where it's gonna keep flowing towards, And so I was like, I realized like I need to be level-headed. I need to feel good about myself and my surroundings, and then I can make the moves, So it's like, I don't have to think so extravagant. I don't have to think so far long term. It's like, just take your time. Just think 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, and then figure it out from there. For me, that's what I realized would have been a better approach, because I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then by the time you get there, everything's different. Everything's changed and it gets stressful, So I said, like, even with my businesses, I think I would have started multiple of them at the same time and taken smaller amounts of time in each and figured out which one I really want to do and which one really is the most beneficial for me, and then put more effort into that. Right. I kind of did the opposite. I did the one that's like all my passion and my lifelong, dreams and inhibitions and all that stuff. But there's a thin line when you mix that with work and with your main source of income. And I started losing the love for it. And I said, I don't want that. I want to still love it. But it took me a while to figure that out. So I would say, figure those things out. What's your reason why you want to do things? Who are the people in your life that you maybe want to do it for other than yourself? And, get them involved and really just settle on an idea, but have a couple of them. Then figure out, once you start moving, hey, maybe this one works better in this country. And then this I have more for in another country, and really have to be flexible in anything that you're doing and be ready to start and stop. You know what I mean?
When you mentioned about the eggs, put your eggs in different baskets, you have different businesses. What is that about? It's like the first one, your cap, it's about the bar, right?
Yeah, it's a nightclub in DC. So we invested in that a few years. I mean, like over 3, 4, 5 years ago. Everything slowed down, obviously, because of the pandemic. We couldn't open, so just getting built out. It gave us some time. I really think it was the best timing once again, because now everybody wants to go out. Everyone's doing things, so the club's packed. It's busy. But I have a smaller partnership in it, so investment. So I don't have to do anything. So again, I can.
You don't have.
I don't have.
So you don't have to work and anything. Just have for the decisions and all of that. You are considering the decisions that they're gonna make, right?
Yeah, if there's longer term, bigger decisions, but I'm more of like silent partner in that aspect. We have plans for a couple more coming up in different areas.
Congratulations.
Things. Yeah, man, I'm excited, and I said, you know what? Which is a side note. It's like, everyone's like, oh, save your money for this, save your money for that, invest here, invest there. I found what is the best investment, which is one of my close friends. That guy knows what he's doing. So I said, I'm going to stick with him. Right. And I'll put money there. And if I have to borrow, I'll borrow. And, it's like, just got to do whatever you got to do and find what works. What he does works. Boom. Great. That's one thing. And again, then I got into the solar business, and, it's a little bit more difficult when I'm overseas, but that's another reason I say, okay, let me come back and solidify things, and have some deals in the works. And again, the fitness business, I took a break from that in the last 3 to 4 months, and I just started doing that again, And so,
sorry for interrupting. I'm about mentioning about that, about your businesses. I'm gonna put all the links and all of the social media, the link, like people, they can find it, they click in there. But tell me about, like, what is your social media? What do you find that suits more to your business? Do you find YouTube more suitable for your business, or Instagram maybe? What do you think that's the best for you?
I'm really like just back and forth on everything. I know, like, I noticed the other day when I was filling out your form to put my social media link, I ended up going on, and 10 minutes later, I was like, wait a minute, what was I looking for? I was trying to just get the link for my Facebook and I started going through stuff. You know, I get distracted, right? So like I realized, oh, like for business, for me, Facebook has worked the best because I mean, I might not look it, but I'm 40 now. So a lot of my friends and my demographic are more on Facebook than they are on Instagram, more on Facebook than they are on TikTok, right?
Do you pay ads or something, or is just like
I don't pay ads, more just, you know, organic, like I'll post a story or I post, you know, I have a group, which again, I haven't been using a lot of these things as much lately, which I'm getting back into, you know, because I've been doing more traveling lately. So it's like been all over the place, but groups on Facebook, I think work well. And it really depends on what you're doing, but even your stories and, you know, having people that are tagged in it that can reshare and repost for you, you know, for example, like we were talking about before we started, it's like, I have a lot of friends that use YouTube more. And so when I send this to them, they're going to be like, boom, they're going to send it to all their friends and blah, 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 blah. And we support each other. And I have groups of friends where we support each other in different areas, you know, so if I ask them, they'll do it, you know, and I'll do the same for them. So I'll also use my Instagram, you know, for that. I've realized though, a lot of, for me is like the stories, I just seem to be faster and easier. I like to spend less time on that stuff, you know, because I think it can take a lot out of you. And if you, it's like a full-time job to do that kind of work, you know, and actually there are jobs now where you can be a poster for a company, you know, you're like a VA kind of thing. And that's all you do. And you respond back and forth and you do the comments. And, you know, for me, I don't want to spend my time on that. And that's just my personal experience and like how I feel about it. But I think, again, for everybody, it's going to be a little bit different, you know?
Right. Okay. So, about cultural things.
Yeah.
We're close to finish, but it has been amazing. All this so interesting story about the cultural things. What do you think that it's the like? Well, for you, I guess in America for sure there's multicultural, but have you been in a place that it surprises you and you're like, wow, I didn't expect that, or you feel like you are in danger? Could be something like that. Have you ever been in those situations?
I mean, to be honest, the United States is so big, right? So you can run into that situation anywhere in the US. You know, I mean, the difference of even in LA, like, you know, in Hollywood, I realized that too. Like there's a lot of homeless people there. And it's really like bothersome for me in that sense that, you know, with the country with so much money, that there's those issues. But then you travel and you're like, this is everywhere. Everywhere has the rich and everywhere has the poor. Everywhere has like luxury and everywhere has a slum, you know? So it's like, but you get the choice. If you're going to travel, like go somewhere where you want to be. If you want to be in the slum and you want, then don't complain about it. You chose to go there. If you want to be somewhere that's high class, then don't complain about how much money it's costing to be there, right? It's like, we really do have that, at least that choice of where we want to be, right? If you are traveling, right? Then you have the choice of where you're going to travel to. You have a choice and sometimes I think in the cultural sense, like don't be afraid to ask, hey, what's a good area to go to? Like when I got to Turkey, I was like, oh, Turkey's always great. It's always nice. And people are like, yeah, but don't go here. Don't go there. I said, okay, great. Why? Because it's dangerous. I was like, really? You think so? Yes. Cool. I'm not going there. You know, that's it. It's as simple as that. You know, and not every area that looks run down is a bad area or even low class area. It could just be how it looks there, but you'll find some hidden gems, like great restaurant or a great like place to go out and get some drinks or dance or whatever. You know, so you really have to also be open to the fact that not everywhere is where you're from. And I mean that, like, if you're from a bad area, it doesn't mean the whole world is full of bad areas. Like there's something better out there for you. You know, if you're from somewhere that's super nice, remember, not everywhere is super nice, you know? And so you have to be smart about it, do your research, I think, but also go to places that interest you, you know? Like, for me, for example, nothing against it. Like I went to London, but it's not a place that I always wanted to go. You know, it was great. I had a great time there. To me, it's a little bit more on the expensive side. But for example, my sister loves it. My cousin lives there. He loves it. I like it. I don't love it, but I love Turkey. And my cousin doesn't even like Turkey anymore. But again, he grew up there. He wanted something different. And what he's always wanted was that. And for me, I grew up in the US and I've always wanted something different. And Turkey was that for me, you know? And so with that, it was like, you know, also again, getting into the present culture of where you're at, the people, like find out what they like to eat, find out what they like to do, you know, and go and do those things, go and eat those things and see if it's really for you, you know, and if it's not, time to pack your stuff up and go somewhere else, maybe, you know?
Right. Like, I have the last question for you.
Sure. Yeah.
About like in Mexico, in Latin America, we're really close to family. And especially when I told them I have to go to this lifestyle, they're a bit like, wow, we wish that you will never leave, because it's like 2 years, 3 years that I don't see them. Of course, we're in touch. We have video calls as we are having right now. But how about for yourself, your family? Where are they in the world? How do they support your lifestyle? What do they think about it?
Yeah, you know, I guess it's crazy because again, like I'm you know, I'm in my 40s now, and I think like when I was younger, it's like, man, I want to just get away. You know, and I was in the military, so I was always traveling, and I kind of got used to that. Every 2 years, I've lived in a different either apartment or house or whatever, or a different city. I've never lived in the same place for too long. More than the maximum was 2 years and 1 month that I lived in the same like apartment. Other than that, so I've been used to that kind of moving around, especially in the US and other countries, right? But this time was the first time that I was like, I'm doing it specifically for me, because of me, and not because of anybody else, right? And I think I realized that if you wait around for somebody, if you wait around for family, if you wait around for everybody to approve, you're never going to do anything. You wouldn't start the business, which means you're not going to go live this nomadic lifestyle anyway. Stay at your 9-to-5 job if that's what you're going to do. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're thinking about this, and you have to also prepare your family, maybe whatever it is, like prepare your friends and let them know. But if they support you, they're going to be supportive no matter what, you know? If they don't support you, that's something else to think of. Maybe they just have you sticking around just for them, you know? And it's like, we got to all live our whole lives. We are individuals. I always believe this, like we're born alone, we're going to die alone. What we do in between and who we do it with that's our choice, right? We don't have a choice to be born. We don't have a choice to die or when we die, but whatever we do in between and whoever we do it with, 100% is our choice. And so if you want to travel, then travel. And if people don't like it, that's their problem. You know, if you want to work remotely and make less money and not do what everybody else is doing, great. And if people don't like it, that's their problem. If you want to work 9-to-5 and people don't like it, that's their problem. You know, it's like we really have to find what is best for us. And for me, it was that. And now, like my sister's like, oh, in the next 2-3 years, I'm going to just do something where I'm working remotely and be able to work anywhere in the world and pretty much move and travel, even if she has to change jobs, right? Or do her side hustle to make more money, which she makes great products and things like that, you know? My mom also, she kept working, and now she's like, nope, I'm done working. She's retiring in April, and we're going to start traveling together. You know, it's like, it's never too early and it's never too late. And same thing. I mean, I think that's the fortunate side. Most of my family, they are travelers. We're all over the world. I have family in Turkey,
Nice.
In Germany, in Switzerland, in London,
in Colombia here now too.
Yes, Colombia. I mean, Mexico. Like I've got family all over the place. I've got friends all over the place. So I said, you know what? I can go and visit them now. You know, I've got a buddy in Belgium, and I'm going to go visit him in the summer. You know, I've never been. Great. And I think it's really, for me, the best part is, again, realizing that I'm not the only one on this earth, and I'm not the only one that does what I do, and that there's a lot of people, like, not to be egotistical, but there's a lot of people that can benefit from meeting me, and I can benefit from meeting those people, right? And it's like, you stay in your bubble, and this I don't really budge on. This is how I live. If I stay here, I'm stuck. If I go here, I have every opportunity and everything at my disposal, but it's up to me. You know, like, I don't want to be in a bubble, and I never will ever again. Even if I am dirt poor and broke, I'll find a way to figure it out. You know, I'd rather be doing that while I'm still, like, it's like lost in another country, maybe, you know, who cares? Like, I'll figure it out, you know, but I know that I'm free to do that now because of the decisions and the choices I made. And I do have the support of, you know, friends and family, and new friends that I, you know, consider family now as well. So, yeah.
Mike, hopefully we're going to see you here. Now we're in Colombia.
Yes.
We're going to see you here.
Part of the plan. Yeah.
Really. Thanks a lot for your time. Is there anything else that you would like to tell to this our audience that is watching us right now? Anything that you would like to?
Yeah, well, no, I would just like to say thank you for having me on and letting me, you know, tell my story. I know I talk a lot, but I really am passionate about it, and I really appreciate you having this channel, because, like, I think, you know, there's tons of channels out there. There's tons of people doing different things, you know, but everyone needs to find something that resonates with them. And for me, like, what you're doing resonates with me, because that's what I'm doing as well. And we met. And I think, like, anybody that's following your channel should really, you know, use it as like a learning tool. You know what I mean? Like an e-course on how to do it, because you are a prime example of that. Like, at the youngest age. So if anybody says they're young and they're contemplating, and now they can talk, I'm 40 and I'm doing it. My mom's about to be, I won't want to say her age, she'll get mad at me, but older, obviously, and she's about to do it, you know? So there's no excuse for not doing it, but, like, watch these videos, you know, and really do your research and figure out what's good for you out there. You know, if anybody has any questions, they can give me a shout, you know, on any of my social media, and then, you know, we can connect through that, and I'd be willing to help anybody figure things out. If they're ever in the DC area, you know, they've got clubs. We actually have another one, a sister nightclub next door as well, called Cloak and Dagger. So, you know, if I'll be in Turkey in May for a while, if anybody's out there, give me a shout. Yeah. And so I'm always willing to support and help, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks a lot, Mike. So everyone, again, if you want to see more about Mike and all his businesses, please just check below. In the bottom, it's gonna be all his social media and all the links. Again, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time.